Hi, and welcome to Body Metrix, the show that teaches you how to incorporate healthy nutrition principles into your busy schedule. My name is Adrienne Delgado, and I am a registered dietitian working in the Springford community. Today's episode is the last part of our three-part series on how to lighten up favorite recipes and transform them into healthy alternatives. Today, we are going to focus on dinner recipes, as this is the meal where most of our calories are consumed. Remember, don't fall into that trap of eating little calories during the day in hopes of losing weight quicker. It normally always catches up with you at night when your defenses are down. Most people are physically and mentally fatigued by the end of the night. We're not as motivated since our energy is depleted. Making good decisions is hard enough this time of the day. Add hunger into the mix, and it's easy to gravitate towards high-calorie comfort foods. Many people resolve to eat healthier and move more January 1st. I've seen people create beautiful meal plans filled with lots of lean proteins and green vegetables for dinner. The only problem is, if this isn't your normal way of eating, following this new way consistently is hard and usually falls to the wayside in a matter of days. Rather than totally revamping your food choices, I'm going to show you 2 ways to lighten up some of your favorite meals and make them lower in calories and more nutrient dense without losing the flavor. The 2 comfort recipes we are going to revise in today's episode are macaroni and cheese and chicken pot pie. When we come back after this short break, I'm going to show you a healthier option to the family favorite mac and cheese dish.
They call me MAXIE, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average 4-legged homie, and then wham-bam minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
I'm Anne. I'm a scientist.
Recycling takes a team.
Why don't you let me and me help you out?
Everyone plays a part. Don't trash
I love taking stuff apart and building new things out of it.
what could be treasure.
Pal's my most advanced android. This is awesome. You haven't seen anything yet.
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
Hi, and welcome back to Body Metrix. In today's episode, we are going to lighten up 2 popular dinner ideas, specifically focusing on comfort foods. Dinner has historically been my patient's hardest meal time. Trying to get something on the table quickly before evening activities begin, and have it be healthy, and have it be something everyone likes, is nothing short of a small miracle some nights. In my house, I have 5 kids. So when all 5 of them agree on a meal, I call it a 5-star recipe and feel confident passing along the recipe to my patients. One meal my kids can all agree on is macaroni and cheese. Who can resist the warm comfort food, especially during these cold winter months? Right here, I have a standard recipe made with 2.5 cups of cheese, full-fat milk, and butter. It has 836 calories per serving, 42 grams of fat, 23 which are saturated, and over 1,200 milligrams of sodium. Although a meal like this sounds comforting, we need to lighten up the calories and make some changes to make this more heart healthy. In our healthy version, we are going to decrease the cheese and add butternut squash to create creaminess. We are also going to decrease the milk by 2/3 and swap out whole milk in favor of skim milk. For this recipe, you will need 3 cups of macaroni, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 tablespoons flour, 1 cup skim milk, 1 package of frozen butternut squash, thawed and pureed, 1½ cups of shredded sharp cheddar cheese, 4 ounces of low-fat cream cheese, salt and pepper to taste, and chopped parsley for a garnish. Okay, so to start this recipe, the first thing you're going to want to do is bring a pot of water to a boil, and then you're going to add your pasta and cook as the package directs you to. So in this case, I cooked my macaroni for 8 minutes. You're going to rinse and drain that and then just set it aside. Meanwhile, in a pot, you're going to bring 2 tablespoons of olive oil under medium heat. To that, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of flour. And basically what I'm doing here is stirring this together to create a paste. We're going to make a roux because this is going to be the base of our cheese sauce. All right, so just stir this together. Won't take too long until it's all incorporated. And using a whisk really works nicely here. So at this point, it's all together. We're going to add our milk. And we're slowly going to add that to as we incorporate the milk with the butter flour mixture, or the olive oil. Again, we're trying to make this lighter, so we're going to use olive oil in favor of butter to save us some saturated fat. And we're basically just going to stir this until it becomes nice and thick and creamy. So it's going to take about 4 to 5 minutes. Okay, so as you can see here, the mixture has thickened up really nicely. So now it's time to add our butternut squash and our cheeses. The nice thing about this recipe is this beautiful color. The kids will never know. All right, so we'll add in our butternut squash, our sharp cheddar cheese, and another tip for you is if you use sharp cheddar cheese, it has a much stronger flavor, so you don't have to use quite as much of it. And we're just going to stir all these things until they're combined. I'm also using the low-fat cream cheese, or the Neuchâtel, which is kind of a funny name, but I'm not really quite sure the meaning behind it. But this also is a great way to lighten up calories without sacrificing flavor. Okay, so at this point, all the cheese and the squash and our roux is all incorporated together. At this point, you can add salt and pepper. I personally feel like with all the cheese involved here, we probably don't need to add any additional salt, so I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of pepper into the sauce for some flavor. That looks good. And give it one more quick stir. And then at this point, we're ready to add our noodles. So you'll notice everything is cooked right in one pot, super easy, and really it doesn't take that much longer than if you were making macaroni and cheese out of a box. And it's a lot healthier than those little cheese packets, powdery cheese packets, and all the butter you would make in a standard mac and cheese box. And it tastes so much better. So we're just going to stir all this together until it's incorporated. I think that looks good right there. Let's put some on a plate. And sprinkle with a little parsley for some color. Perfect. Now doesn't that look good? So this warm comfort meal only has 296 calories per serving, saving you over 500 calories. Decreasing the cheese and switching our milk saves us 30 grams of fat, 17 of which are saturated, and 1,000 milligrams of sodium. Plus the bright, vibrant color of the squash will look just like cheddar cheese, so kids won't know the difference. Not that I'm a fan of hiding vegetables, but it never hurts to get in an extra serving. Serve this along some grilled chicken and broccoli, and you have a complete healthy meal. When we come back, I'm going to show you a way to lighten up the traditional chicken pot pie meal.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hi, and welcome back. Before the break, I showed you a healthier spin on the traditional mac and cheese dish. The second recipe we're going to lighten up is chicken pot pie. Now, I grew up in Lancaster County, so when I hear chicken pot pie, I think thick dough noodles with chicken and carrots. I remember the first time I ordered this meal out in this area, I was given a pie with meat and veggies inside, and I told the waitress she made a mistake with my order. Isn't it interesting the differences in food between regions? Same with different pronunciations of different foods like tomato, tomato, apricot, apricot, depending where you live. Anyway, the recipe I'm going to revamp today is the chicken pot pie dish that comes in a pie shell. The original recipe is well over 500 calories with 33 grams of fat. For our lighter version, we are going to make a healthier gravy, add a ton of veggies, and only use one pie shell instead of the traditional 2. For this recipe, you will need 1 pound of skinless, boneless chicken breast halves cubed, 1.5 cups of sliced carrots, 1 cup of frozen green peas, 1/2 cup of sliced celery, 3 tablespoons of olive oil, 1/3 cup of chopped onion, 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of celery seed, 1 3/4 cups of low-sodium chicken broth, 2/3 cups of skim milk, 1/4 cup of chopped Italian parsley, and 1 unbaked pie crust. So the first step for this recipe is we want to preheat your oven to 425 degrees. Next, I want you to get a saucepan and I want you to add your sliced carrots, your celery, your peas, and your chicken cubed. And we want to fill it with just enough water, bring it to a rolling boil, and cook for about 15 minutes or until the chicken is cooked through. Once you're finished with that, go ahead and drain off that liquid and set it inside a ceramic dish. Or you can use a pie plate here, whatever works best or whatever equipment you have. I have this nice ceramic dish, so I just set everything here in the bottom, and now I'm going to start working on the sauce. I started heating up 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Again, we're going for the olive oil versus the butter to lighten up the amount of saturated fat. And we're just going to cook these onions for about 5 minutes or so until they become soft and translucent. Okay, so this looks good in terms of cooking the onions. They have a nice brown caramelized color. At this point, we're going to add the flour and also our seasoning. So this is salt, pepper, and celery seed. And we're basically doing exactly like we did with the macaroni and cheese. We're creating a roux, which is the base to our sauce. So we're just going to stir this until it's incorporated and it resembles a paste. Won't take long at all. All right. That looks good there. All right, so at this point we're going to add our skim milk. going to stir this a little bit just to start working it together. I'm going to turn my heat up a little bit because I want to bring it to a boil. And then I'm slowly going to start adding my low sodium chicken broth. Again, another great way to decrease the amount of sodium in your dishes is to always substitute the low sodium chicken broth for the original. And so as you see here, I'm going to keep whisking away, and that'll start to break up that paste and thicken up. So we have a nice rich cream sauce, but without a lot of calories. Okay, and so this is going to take about 5 minutes. I'm just going to continue stirring the whole time. That agitation and the heat is going to thicken up the sauce until we have a nice smooth consistency. All right, so we got a nice thick consistency. You can see here it's a lot thicker than when we started. I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat off. Add my fresh parsley. And just stir this until it's incorporated. At this point, I'm going to pour it over top of my chicken and vegetables. Actually, let me do it this way so you can see a little bit better. And our last part, we're going to put our pie shell over top. Now, if you want to make your own homemade pie shell, go for it. I'm trying to make this recipe fairly quick for a weeknight dinner meal, so I'm going to go with the pre-made pie shell. And I'm just going to kind of stick it in there. If you want, you can go ahead and cut off the edges so it fits nicely in your pan. And then before we're done, we want to just put a couple slits in the top just so that the steam has somewhere to escape. And you can make a nice fancy pattern. All right. And this is going to go into your preheated oven. All right, so this is going to bake for about 30-35 minutes, and then you're going to want to let it cool for about 10 minutes before serving. Now, I previously made a chicken pot pie ahead of time, just so for the sake of timing and for this show, I would have something to show. But you can see my pie crust, it was a little bit smaller than what the dish I used, but that's all right because it's going to get cut up and we're going to eat it anyway. So I'm going to bring this over here. So in our lighter chicken pot pie, we only have 247 calories, cutting our calories by more than half. We also decreased the fat by over half and decreased the saturated fat from 14 grams to 5. The only thing we haven't decreased is the taste. Now this is comfort food I can get excited about. Remember, eating healthy can be achievable just by swapping out a few key ingredients and adding more produce to your dish. Cooking at home is also a great way to shed calories, save money, and invest in precious time with your family. Rather than looking at cooking as a chore, change your perspective and choose to see it as an investment in your health. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.